Firstly, we will try and understand the meaning of comparative study. Comparative study means to research for a problem with a view of comparing two different subject matter. The term industrial relations comprises of two terms, industry and relations. Industry refers to any productive activity in which an individual or a group of individuals is or are engaged. By relations, we mean the relationships that exist within the industry between the employer and his workmen. Thus, a comparative study of industrial relations shows that industrial relations phenomena is a very faithful expression of the society in which it operates, of its characteristic features, and of the power relationships between different interest groups. In this chapter, we will do comparison on the global basis. After studying this lesson, you will be able to know about ESOP, compare ESOP schemes in US, Europe, and Japan, analyze the IR system in Japan, link productivity and financial participation of workers, know about successful IR practices of some global and Indian firms. Now let's start the discussion with ESOP. An employee stock ownership plan, ESOP, is a way in which employees of a company can own a share of the company they work for. There are different ways in which employees can receive stocks and shares of their company. Employees can receive them as a bonus, buy them directly from the company, or receive them through an ESOP. The main purpose of an ESOP is to reward and motivate employees. They are also used to provide a market for departing owners of successful companies. In most cases, an ESOP is given to an employee rather than purchased by an employee. Arguments favoring ESOP are availability of its various advantages, which are increase in morale of worker because of sense of ownership in company. Profit sharing proves as a financial motivator. For company, contributions to the plan are tax deductible. In the United States, ESOPs are a very common form of employee ownership. They have been growing in strength since about 1974. Around 11,000 companies have an ESOP in place and nearly 8 million employees are involved in them. Japan is the best lively example through which one can evaluate the impact of ESOP on workers and in turn on society. ESOPs have been introduced by more than 90% of the firms listed on Japanese stock markets and by 60% of all corporations. The average stock held by each employee through an ESOP was estimated at US $14,000 in 1988. 97% of firms with 30 or more employees pay bonuses to their regular staff twice a year. In addition, more than 90% of Japanese firms operate a deferred profit-sharing scheme. Unique features of the Japanese industrial relations system are the lifetime employment system, the seniority wage system, the enterprise union, and the bonus system. The first three characteristics are called the three sacred emblems of Japanese labor policy. Here, lifetime employment means employment till the employee attains the age of retirement, which is normally 55 years, but it is now being extended to 58 or 60 years. Top-level executives have, however, no mandatory retirement age. Now let's study another topic, attitudes of the social partners towards workers' financial participation attitude of employers' associations. Employers usually consider financial participation as an important element of human resource management for the purposes of improving employee motivation and commitment. They argue on the following 2 points. Enhancing productivity, workers' participation in decision-making a catalyst. The authors, from their survey of a wide variety of case studies and attitudinal surveys, conclude that profit-sharing schemes have a positive and significant effect on productivity. Studies on European countries recently surveyed in the Pepper Report also concur in pointing to a positive association between financial participation and productivity. This report led the Commission of the European Communities to propose its recommendation on financial participation. In Italy, a survey carried out on a sample of 179 enterprises suggests that enterprises with financial participation experienced a substantial 12% increase in production following the introduction of these schemes. The results of a survey carried out among 140 Belgian enterprises also emphasized the positive effects of financial participation on workers' motivation. In Belgium, France, and the United Kingdom, and the United States of America, it is found that financial participation schemes tend to have been introduced and grown, particularly in large profitable export-oriented enterprises. Workers in small units can observe and evaluate the effects of their efforts on the profits of their company and in turn to them also. Thus, this point always leads to favor of policy. And if we talk about workers' participation in decision-making, then this can be supported by the fact that a greater level of concern by workers for the success of their enterprise as a direct result of their financial participation can have the effect of reducing conflict in the workplace, increasing the identification of workers with the enterprise, and lengthening their time horizon. The global experiences of laborization suggest that the different forms and paths taken by financial participation depends largely on national systems of industrial relations and the attitudes and bargaining powers of the social partners. Now let's discuss few commendable examples of global IR practices. First one is the Mondragon Corporation, which is a federation of worker cooperatives based in the Basque region of Spain. Currently, it is the 7th largest Spanish company in terms of turnover and the leading business group in the Basque country. At the end of 2009, it was providing employment for 85,066 people working in 256 companies in 4 areas of activity: finance, industry, retail, and knowledge. The Mondragon cooperatives operate in accordance with a business model based on people and the sovereignty of labor, which has made it possible to develop highly participative companies rooted in solidarity with a strong social dimension, but without neglecting business excellence. The cooperatives are owned by their worker members and the power is based on the principle of one person, one vote. Another example is of Omak Wood Products. In the forest products industry, the 635 employees of Omak Wood Products Inc. of Omak, WA, became owners of the log cutting and plywood manufacturing facility when Sir James Goldsmith accepted their offer of nearly $35 million. He believed it would be in the best interest of the community if they owned the operation. Another example can be of Tower Colliery. There was a large-scale closing down of coal mines owned by government in England, and thousands of miners were retrenched. In the course of privatization process, Tower Colliery, a prominent coal mine in England, was taken over by its retrenched workers. 239 workers contributed $8,000 each out of their retrenchment compensation and successfully bid reworking the mine again. An international freight transport company of Hungary, formed under privatization process, struggled to survive. So the employees decided to start a new company. They contributed 50% of the initial capital and the remaining amount was contributed by the parent company. The employees participating in this plan were particularly motivated to preserve their jobs and improve the performance of the company. Their expectations and hard work were crowned with success. Hitachi Electronics Company introduced an ESOP in November 1974. In August 1985, 34.8% of employees were participating in the plan. The average stake of participants is Japanese yen 1.2 million. In 1984, the company paid the average employee Japanese yen 0.517 million. 2.65 months regular pay as a summer bonus, and another Japanese yen 0.548, 2.72 months regular pay as a year-end bonus. We can take the example of Mitsui Bank, which introduced an ESOP in August 1969. In 1985, 67.6% of all employees were participating in the plan. The average stake of participants is Japanese yen 2.36 million. In 1984, the bank paid the average employee Japanese yen 0.915 million, 3.25 months regular pay as a summer bonus, and Japanese yen 0.973 million, which is 3.40 months regular pay as a year-end bonus. Beside them, there are various other companies which had adopted ESOP, as we can see on the slide. After talking about global examples, we have also some Indian companies which had adopted ESOP and thus benefited. First among them is Kamani Tubes. Kamani Tubes is a worker-owned company located in Bombay. Before that, the Kamanis, a well-known business family, owned it. It was a leading firm till the middle of 1970s, controlling 60% of the market. By 1985, the trouble started within the company, due to which they abandoned the factory as the quantum of loss was uncontrollable. When the owners abandoned, the independent union consisting of 600 workers approached the Supreme Court claiming that the workers could raise the share capital from their provident fund, wage arrears, and loan. The court asked the Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction (BIFR) to examine the union's proposal. The BIFR gave a favorable report. By the end of 1988, the shares were transferred to the cooperative. Since revival, the company has made good progress. Production, wages and profit have gone up. The worker-owned company pays annually around Rs 3 crore as excise duty. Thus, reviving the company has been beneficial to the government too. Next one is the Cooperative of Slag Pickers. In 1979, the state government formed a cooperative of slag pickers with the sub-divisional officer as the chairman. The cooperative was given the monopoly to pick slag. In the very first year, the cooperative achieved a turnover of Rs 3 crores. This staggering amount was beyond anybody's expectations. Wages have gone up substantially. The cooperative has taken up a lot of welfare work with its own funds. It continues to run smoothly. The open cast iron ore mines of Dali, Rajhera in Madhya Pradesh also have successful cooperatives. These mines supply iron ore to the Bhilai steel plant. About 7,500 workers organized in 7 cooperatives are engaged in this task. Most of the workers have moved from nearby Bailadila mines, which have been running out of ore. The government has encouraged the formation of cooperatives to rehabilitate these displaced workers. The cooperatives have been running successfully in spite of competition from contractors who also operate in this area. It has generated handsome surpluses for distribution among members and funding welfare facilities. The best free primary school in the town is run by this cooperative. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. The full form of ESOP is an employee stock ownership plan. Right or wrong? Right. ESOP is a way in which employees of a company can own assets of the company they work for. Right or wrong? Wrong. 3 sacred emblems of Japanese labor policy includes the lifetime employment system, the seniority wage system, and the enterprise union. Right or wrong? Right. Now let's revise the whole concept. Workers' share ownership plan constitutes the major form of financial participation. It is technically called as employee share or stock ownership plan, ESOP. The scheme gives the opportunity to employees to own shares in their own company. In USA, the most important reason due to which the employers opt for such schemes is that they get major tax concessions. The ESOP shares are not individual property which workers can freely sell. Japanese industries are characterized by a notable development of ESOPs. There is an impressive wide-ranging body of evidence for a positive association between workers' financial participation and productivity gains in the industrialized countries. The global experiences of laborization suggest that the different forms and paths taken by financial participation depend largely on the national systems of industrial relations and the attitudes and the bargaining powers of the social partners. Thank you.